What's up, tubers? Tio here, Simplistic Fishing, back at you tonight for a new lake breakdown, going out and getting some new lakes. We have over 97 different lakes now out on our site, simplisticfishing.com. So I'm trying to get caught up on all the videos so that you guys can experience the full experience of getting these waypoints and kind of understanding what we're trying to mark here for you and hopefully helping you guys catch a lot more bass this season. So let's go ahead and jump into it tonight. This one's a new one for us. We're going to stay out west, a lake that seems to be, from a breakdown standpoint, fairly similar to O.H. Ivy, and that is Allen Henry Reservoir. This thing has some underwater brush. It's mainly a main river system that goes through there. Looks to be like some really good offshore hotspots. Couldn't find a lot of good stuff on Google Earth. We're able to find some pretty decent stuff, nothing too crazy, but I think the offshore hotspots are going to be very, very key on this one. The other thing that's cool is you'll see that when we're going through this imagery, that you can actually tell what the lake looked like as it was kind of filling up. So some of the key spots we were able to find from Google Earth was actually in a black and white version. Anyways, let's go ahead and jump into this one. I'll show you what I found, then stick around next week. We'll be coming back and we'll be talking about the offshore hotspots. Let's go. We always do. Let's go ahead and start on the Texas Park and Wildlife fishing page for Allen Henry Reservoir, and let's see what this lake is all about. I will tell you, this one was kind of a challenge from a Google Earth standpoint of really being able to find some good stuff for you. I think you're going to find that offshore fishing here is probably going to be really, really good. So definitely be prepared to do that. But let's talk about the characteristics here. It's located 45 miles south of Lubbock, Texas, and 4 miles east of Justisburg on the double mountain of the Brazos River. The surface area is only 2,880 acres, although it does, you can see here in the picture up to the right, it stretches pretty far out. Maximum depth is 100 feet. Mean depth is about 40 feet, and it was impounded in 1993. So I'll actually be able to show you some Google Earth imagery before this lake was created. Problem is, it's really, really grainy, so wasn't a lot we could pick up from it. You can see here, you can go to the current lake level and check it out. Most of our lakes here in Texas, it's 2023 now, but they're still extremely low. So make sure to check that before you go out. As far as the pool elevation is 2,220. The fluctuation is only 2 to 4 feet per year, so it might not be that bad. And the normal clarity is murky to clear at about 1 to 4 feet visibility. If you look down here, you can see the predominant species. They've got largemouth bass, spotted bass, channel and flathead catfish, and white crappie. Now, if we go here to the lake records for Allen Henry, you can see here they've got Alabama bass in here. This one was 5.98, 22 inches. That's pretty far. They also have the largemouth bass, which weight was 15 pounds, 25 inches in length. That was caught in 2016 on a jig. So just some really good things here. This lake was stocked with Alabama bass. We'll talk about it here in a minute, so we'll talk about it. But let's go ahead and just move on down. As far as angling opportunities go, you've got largemouth bass, which are good, spotted bass, which are good as well, catfish, crappie, and sunfish. We talked about that. If you look up here, largemouth bass are the most popular species in the reservoir. The lake has produced a number of lunker-sized fish, that means 8 pounds or larger, and several have been entered into the Toyota Share Lunker program. This lake was stocked with Alabama spotted bass as the reservoir started to fill, and which also provided opportunities for bass anglers searching for high catch rates. So basically what they're telling you here is that you can go out to this lake, you can catch a donkey, but at the same time, you can probably catch 50 or 60 fish in a day with those spotted bass. So really fun lake to go fish. You know, if you're out there and you're traveling down to O.H. Ivy, this would be a good one to swing by if you were coming down from the north and check out as well. As far as the structure goes here, the structure in the reservoir is primarily rock with some flooded timber. It's very narrow, so the shoreline is very steep, and there are small areas of aquatic vegetation in some of the coves. We'll talk about that as we go through Google Earth. One thing that this lake does have that O.H. Ivy has as well is they have the underwater willow trees or bushes. So basically, it's like a bunch of underwater stick-ups. all over the place. And so, really, I'll show you guys those areas. Those are great areas to go find the bass at. You basically get out on the edges of that flooded timber that's in there, and then really work the edges, and you can have a lot of success. So let's go ahead and switch over to Google Earth. Let's jump into this thing, see what it has to offer us. Well, here we are on Google Earth, and let's go ahead and zoom into Allen Henry. Remember, I told you it was just south of Lubbock, Texas. So we're going to zoom in here and see what we have to offer. Now, this lake, again, was kind of tricky when it comes to breaking it down. So hopefully you guys will find this stuff very helpful, but lots of good offshore stuff on this one for sure. Now, moving over here on the left-hand side, if you just follow my little hand over here, we've got this broke down by several different things. One is going to be offshore hotspots. So that's going to be all these different hotspots that you see here. Let me go ahead and uncheck these. And what we're going to do on the offshore hotspots is we'll come back on another video and we'll actually pull up web app Navionics, or not web app, but the mobile version of Navionics boating. And we'll point out why we think these are key hotspots to fish based on the contours of the lake. So next up is going to be channels and ditches. There really aren't that many different channels to go through. Obviously, you have this major river channel running through here, but you've got some creeks and things that connect here. What I tried to do was mark them for you. What we did is we basically went up here, we changed the date, we drew it back to where the water was basically dry, and then we were able to connect all those different creek channels. So some pretty good stuff. It really helps you if you are fishing around creek channels. It really helps you position your boat very well for those. We've also got a couple different ramps on this lake. Believe it or not, there's not that many. You've got all the ones here that I've marked for you guys. We've also got several areas of brush, and this is what I was talking about earlier. You've got this underwater brush, very similar to OHI, or at least it looks like it. Now, I've never been to this lake. I've been to Ivy, so I'm kind of comparing the two because they're somewhat in the same region, or at least somewhat close to each other. So if we pull up here, you can't tell in 2023, you would have no idea that there is actually a brush line that goes all the way through here. And there's more brush that's up in here as well, and there's some more up there. You'd have no idea if you were the first time going out there. You'd be looking at that bank line thinking there's no cover on that bank line, but really there's a ton of cover there. It's just under the water. So this is where it's going to become really, really helpful. You'll be able to see where the brush is based on where I have it marked. And I'll show you guys later why there's brush there, why I know there's brush there. All right, so also rock and debris. Obviously, there's, this in this area of Texas, you are going to find quite a bit of rock, but these are special rock formations, something special about the rock, just something special about it that maybe you want to put it there for you. There's also a road in there and then some other things I just wanted you to check. And then last but not least, we also have several different points to check. I mean, this is definitely a lake where you've got a lot of really good points. So some of these points I just pointed out, particularly because they set up just perfect from a contour standpoint. So I wanted to make sure that I brought this to your attention. So let's go ahead and select all the waypoints again. I'm actually going to take off the offshore stuff because we're going to talk about that when we move over to the mobile side. And what we're going to do is we're going to start at the dam. We're going to work our way up, and then we'll work our way back down. Don't know if we'll be able to finish all of this in one video, but we'll see what we can get done today. So next up, I'm going to move this over. I'm going to draw my date back, and this is actually 2023 that we're looking at right now. I'm going to draw my date back to 2018. So let's go back to 2018. I already went past 2018. Hold on, let me get the right image here. 2012. What we're doing is we're just going back and we're seeing when the best image is to pull from this one. And this one was really, really tricky. Even when I was trying to find that brush that I was telling you about, it was really tricky to find that. Now, this is why I know that that brush is there. So if we look at this one's all the way back to 1996. And I know I said we were going to start on the dam, but let's start here first. So you can kind of see where this brush is really, where it's all at. So if we zoom in here from the dam, we come off this spot right here. If I zoom in here, you'll see it, but you can see that there's brush down along that bank line. You've also got some more that's up in here. You can see it right there, just barely. There's some in there as well. I mean, I'm sure it's all over the place, but there are some really key spots of it. You've also got it all the way down this side and over in here as well. And then over here by the creek channel too. You've got a lot of brush right in here. So basically this green line right here on the inside, that's basically a brush line. And then this major green line is pretty much your creek channel or your river channel. So wanted to show you that, but let's go up. We're going to zoom in here. We're going to see what the best image is we can get here to get our best little image. So 2004, 2005, we're still looking. You know, I thought that this one would fluctuate as much as like Ivy did, but it does not fluctuate as much as Ivy at all. In fact, sometimes it's really hard to find stuff in here. As you can see, I've already gone up and came back, and Google Earth's really tricky on this lake for some reason. We're going to start right here because I think it's going to give us our best image. I can't find a better one today. I don't know why this thing is so tricky, but let's just go back up. We're gonna pick this one right here. We're going to stay at 2014. And just some things that I want you to check out here. Now, obviously, I found some rock out here at some point, so I want you to go check out there and see if you can find a rock pile or something similar in that area. Also, check this area right in here. It's got some pretty good contours and things. And then out here, you've also got more brush. So you've got that brush that we were talking about earlier. I like this point right here. It has a lot of really good rock on it. It's a different color than most of these other rocks too, so that kind of makes you wonder what's going on there, but definitely fish around that point. You've got another point that's out here as well. This point comes out pretty good, sets up really, really well. So you definitely want to take a look at that one. And remember that brush we were talking about? And I was telling you there was all that underwater brush. Well, you can kind of see it here just by the way the ripples of the waves are going here, that something's in here. But this is mainly where that main brush was. It was all right up in here. And this looks like it could have been an old pond dam as well. So maybe fishing right around in this area or right around that brush right in there. You've also got some really healthy rock going on all around this whole bank line. Now, obviously, you kind of have that throughout, but if you look at these are like bigger, chunkier rocks that kind of stick out. So you've got a couple of them that are there. You could take a look at those. You've got these docks. Like I said, from a Google Earth standpoint, a lot of this stuff looks the same. Now, this little point right here, you may want to try that one too. That one looks like it could be pretty interesting. Again, you got the brush that comes out. Remember, we were talking about it earlier on that other image, but that brush basically went down here and it went all the way down this bank line and circled around. So let's go back and look at that real quick. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this back to, I think it was 1996. There we go, 96. So now we draw it back to 96. There's that brush we were talking about. We've also got brush that's right here as well. And then we've got brush in here too. So anyways, as we're looking at that, let's go back to whatever date we were on. I think we were on 2008. Of course, the image is getting tricky again. Let's go back to 2012. Look how far out that brush comes. So it comes way out here. So definitely do some scanning around here. Find the edges of those brush lines and really focus on that. Some good points here as well. You've got a couple good ones right there. As we move up in here, we've got a boat ramp. Got a pretty decent little channel that's right in here. I wish I could get the image to behave and actually show us where that channel is, because I was able to mark that channel at some point in time. There we go. I must have done it from 96. So right here, I was able to really mark that channel and tell exactly where it was. So kind of making you dizzy, probably moving back and forth, but coming from 1996, we go back up to say 2005, 2008, doesn't really matter. Let's go to 2008. We've got a ramp that's right here. You can check that out. Another really good point here. A good point here and a major ramp that's right here. The Sam Wall Recreational Area. That looks like it has a really big ramp. So not sure that would be a good one to fish around, but definitely one to check out. And also, you know, while you're there, I mean, just look at all this nice chunky rock that's off the edge of these points. Here's all that brush we were talking about earlier. All that underwater brush. There's a good little rock there that I missed that you could go fish around. But get off on the edges of this underwater brush, and you're going to be surprised at what you can find. I'd say focus on that creek channel too. You know, if that creek channel gets up and starts slamming up against something or gets really close to something, you definitely want to take a look at it. Right here is a good example of a creek channel swing that's going this way, and it's going to come really close to this point. So anywhere right in here would be really good. This point looks good too, just from the way that it sets up. And then as we move back here, there wasn't a lot. I marked the channels for you. There's a ramp up here, and really just a good point right here. If you notice this thing swinging pretty hard, so here is going to be a key area too, right, where that creek channel swings down. So right in there is going to be a key area. But also, when it comes back up and hits this point and fades off, that makes that point really good. That point has a creek channel on both sides of it. So it's definitely going to be a productive point for you. So let's move back up here. We talked about that point. Really, guys, just you're going to have to do a lot of scanning on this lake and really figure out how they're setting up. But these little points too, make sure you check those out. These little points that extend out. This point right here would be a good point to fish. This point right here would be a good point to fish as well. Looking at both of those, just the way that they set up. This one sets up pretty good, so it's got the creek channel coming right beside it. And this point, again, it's got the river channel and then a creek channel on the other side of it. So that's going to make that a pretty productive point for you. I should have marked that one originally. Moving up here, this little green arrow that you see, or this green path here that you see, this is going to be all that brush we were talking about. We come over here and we get closer, and here's another one of those points, right, where you've got the river channel fairly close to it and a really nice setup spot for them to hang out. So right here off of that point. And then moving down, this little underwater point here, maybe underwater, maybe not be underwater, just comes out pretty far. But right here is a really good point as well. Let's move that up to 23. That's only going to let me go to 2020. So you can see it's kind of underwater, but it's not totally submerged. But fishing around in this area right in here, I believe that could be a pretty good spot just based on just the way that it looks. Now let's go back to, we'll keep moving back to 2014, 2012. We're getting pretty far. There we go. 2012 is going to be the best one on this side. We're going to move down. Again, just a couple good points to take a look at. This point here, obviously, creek channel swing. This point here sets up good. This one sets up even better. Creek channel swing again, creek channel swing here, and a creek channel swing here. So really, I mean, it looks like, if I was fishing up here and I launched it, excuse me, up here at this main ramp, I would probably come down and start spending some of my time in here, because I just like how you've got several different points. You got a major creek arm that's coming through here. Just a lot of good things about this little pocket right in here. I guess it wouldn't really be a pocket, but more like a cove or a creek channel. All right, so we're going to keep moving up. We get up here to this point. Obviously, I lost the river channel. I don't know. I can't see it because I can't get the water down low enough. But this point, it's got to come really close to the river channel. The river channel probably swings this way and then comes back this way. So that point's going to be right off the edge of the river channel. That brush that we talked about too earlier, that's going to be right on the edge of the river channel, meaning that this area in here is going to be a really good area to try to locate some fish. Now, we talked about the brush here. There's brush, all underwater brush all around this point. And then when you get over here, you've got some pretty interesting little points that come out that have some pretty healthy rock on them. So you definitely want to take a look at that and just see if there's any good formations, anything like that that's on there that you might be able to fish around. But you can see here, it gets pretty good rock right in here. There's some underwater brush there, but then over here, got some pretty good little chunky rock that's right there. We also got the same thing here, just some really big chunks of rock, almost boulders that are out there. Look at all the underwater debris, or the underwater willows and stuff like that. Like right out here, that could be a good spot to fish too. Getting off on the edges of these things. That's what the really key is. At least it was for me. We've also got some ramps over in there, some more rocks, just some interesting little rock formations right in here where they will come out. There's two little points right there. And then we're going to move back. We're going to get way back in here. That I wanted you to check this area right in here. I can't remember exactly why, but definitely go take a look at that spot right in there, because it's right where that river channel kind of ends. And if I draw that back, not to 1985, but let's go 1996, you can see here where it looks like that point comes out and has some pretty good like a little rock or something like that. I have a little ledge that's right in there. Come over here, that spot where I said to check earlier, this is why I wanted you to check it, because it looks like it's an underwater hump or something like that. But again, be careful in here because of all of this underwater debris. You're going to have to be extremely careful. But man, this image from 96, even though it's not in color, it really gives us a really good view of what's going on in this lake. So let's move back here, follow this little creek channel back. I've got it all marked. Now you can't tell that you can kind of tell in this image there's some rock there. you can start to see some of that brush, some more brush there, some more brush there. But let's draw this up to, let's go back to 2012. And here's where I can see, that brush is a lot thicker right in there. And then here, it's swinging back up and it's coming really close to all of this underwater brush that's right here. So that makes that good. It's kind of the same thing going back through here, right? That creek channel's right up against this brush line. And so you could literally come out here and just fish that creek channel and just fish along the edges of those brush lines. You've also got some rock back in here. You've got an old roadbed that comes through here. Very heavy underwater brush. Let's pull that back up to 2023. You can kind of see the tips of it. It's not as obvious as it was when the water was down in 2012, but still definitely some really good stuff to fish around. I mean, look at that. It's beautiful. It sets up perfect for you to fish around it. More brush back in there, and then here's your major creek channel. So moving up here, we talked about this brush. You always want to look at these little intersections right here too, even though I don't have it marked there, but right where those intersect, those can be good places as well. That little point could be productive. All kinds of underwater brush here. You got some pretty big rock up here. This is like really, really big boulders, like right in this area for some reason. Also a boat ramp there. And then as we swing back around, that's that little underwater hump that I wanted you to check. And we're going to get up here. We're going to pull this back because Google Earth on this image doesn't really tell us much, but I do like this area right in here. I just want you to check that. Not sure what it is, but if I pull that up, 2020, it doesn't look as good here, but that's definitely like a really good hard spot right there. And then let's go back to, let's just draw this all the way back to 96. And when we do that, there's a little brush pile there that I was telling you about. Here's the road. So there was some kind of a road or something going on right here, and it goes right through here. And I think you can verify that too when you get onto to Navionics, but very interesting to see this from 96. You've also got some additional rock that's in here. Look at the big drop that you're going to get right in there. And some pretty good rock in there. If I pull that up to 2012, you can see that there's some pretty healthy rock all along that little bank line right in there. And that little point where that hard spot is could be a really good spot to take a look at. So believe it or not, we actually made it through Alan Henry. Again, wasn't a lot to show you from a Google Earth standpoint, but we're going to see some pretty good stuff when we switch over to the Navionics side. For the boating app. So what we're going to do is we'll come back next week. We'll do another video, and it will be really purely based on offshore hotspots for this lake. What we're going to do is we're going to go over all of these extra hotspots that are out there so that you guys can take a look at them. I don't know why my offshore stuff is not working, but it will show up here in just a second. Give me one minute. Boom, there they all are. We're going to go over all of those. We're going to talk about those. We'll probably talk about other areas that aren't marked on there that I think maybe you should just go explore. So make sure to come back next week and check that out. And if you want all of these waypoints now, you can definitely have them. Just go out to our website, simplisticfishing.com, look up Alan Henry, and you will find all of these waypoints together, the offshore and the Google Earth waypoints together. So you can just put them into your graph via an SD card, or you can do a digital download and put them on an SD card that way. So anyways, guys, hope this helps you a ton. Until next time, I hope you catch your PB.